Welcome to Parent Squad. I'm Felicia Lawrence. The redistricting debate in Indiana started the 2026 legislative session early, and there is still so much to come, including several bills that could impact your children and their schools. So here to break down what's up for debate at the Statehouse is Aleks Appleton from Chalkbeat. Aleks, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Certainly. So we want to start with the big one, cell phones in schools. We know that lawmakers did pass a ban in 2024, but this next bill that's up could make that even stricter.
Right.
So what's happening in our schools, and do we need to make it even stricter than what it is?
What we have right now is a phone ban during instructional time. And when that passed in 2024, lawmakers gave teachers the discretion to be able to tell students, okay, take your phones out because we're going to do an assignment. We're going to access some kind of online resource. But what lawmakers want to do now is say a bell-to-bell cell phone ban. That means phones get locked up at the beginning of the day or they completely stay home.
Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around it just because I am young enough where we had phones in high school. Obviously, they weren't smartphones and they did not do everything that they do now, but it was literally a turn the phone off. And you could stuff it in your bag if people are concerned about having it for emergency purposes.
Right.
They could still have it, but it has to be completely off. And if it was seen or if it went off, then the adults, teachers would collect them and your parent has to come back up to the school to get it. I'm just like, why wouldn't that work? But it sounds like they're using them sometimes for instruction.
Right, exactly. And when schools do have policies like that, one thing lawmakers have found is it puts a lot of pressure on teachers to always be the enforcers, to potentially have conflicts with their students to say, put your phone away. Or it causes a lot of discrepancies classroom to classroom. If one teacher is maybe okay with it, one teacher isn't, one teacher wants them locked up, one teacher wants them put in the backpacks, like you said. Lawmakers say it's just one more thing for teachers to have to do. It's better if the phones just don't show up at all.
Yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it and come up with a viable solution.
I think everybody is.
I hear what they're saying about emergency cases. You know, you want your kid to have it, which if the policy is just no phones across the board, then I think that's where the issue is coming in. The main issue is that it's too gray. Like you said, some people are using it, some teachers are using it, some teachers are not. I feel like that is probably where the issue is coming into play here. So anywho, is that the responsibility of the teachers? Well, we will see what our lawmakers end up deciding.
Yeah,
certainly
absolutely.
For parents, something for parents to know about what's happening there. So another big topic is childcare funding and cuts. Many families are already facing wait lists. Are lawmakers expected to do anything to ease this?
Yeah, the 2026 session is what we call a short session that doesn't involve passing a state budget. So in a short session year, lawmakers are typically very hesitant to do anything that involves funding, like adding funding for childcare. One thing we have seen is a few Democrat-sponsored bills that would try to move existing state funding into that childcare voucher fund to try to help those families on the wait list. And we're also probably going to see a few more deregulation bills, and those are aimed at making it easier for providers to open more seats and more centers for childcare. But we're probably not going to see anything big and sweeping like universal preschool.
Okay, well, universal preschool would certainly be something that would help out a lot of people. We ended up seeing a lot of that pandemic funding, that aid kind of dry up and be taken away, especially with this newer administration coming in. But that doesn't mean that the need isn't there, and I think that's what's so tough for parents.
Yeah, it's a huge issue. Lawmakers say, or Indiana lawmakers say, that this should be something that parents and their employers, maybe counties, should figure it out. It shouldn't necessarily be something that the state puts money towards.
Oh my gosh, that is so tough. What job is going to take more of that on?
Yes.
At the same time, they want their employees there. Parents have to work, but somebody has to take care of their children.
Right. That's why childcare is often thought of as a workforce development issue.
Yeah, it certainly impacts a lot of different entities and parties there. We also know the Indianapolis Local Education Alliance just voted to approve recommendations that could have a big impact on the city's education system. We do want to talk about those and then what is next now at the State House.
Right. So just this week, the ILEA recommended essentially a new body to oversee IPS schools and charter schools in the Indianapolis area, and now these recommendations are going to lawmakers who may pass them as is, but who may also have their own ideas about what should happen with charter schools. Who should authorize them? Should it just be the mayor's office? Should we allow other authorizers? Another big question is, does every public school have to provide transportation? The ILEA says it should, but lawmakers don't necessarily think that.
And I think it's interesting because it's like they're being forced to use that budget, you use that money for busing, for transportation, but I mean, I'm sure they could find a bunch of other places that it could be utilized in if they were able to have access for it. But it sounds like the state is cracking down on where they're able to use it.
Right. Well, the ILEA is going to be able to impose property taxes. So that's going to be a completely new world for this new body to impose property taxes that are going to fund things like buildings and buses, and then distribute them both to charter schools and district-run schools. That's going to be a different system than we've ever had before.
And so could that what's happening in Indianapolis for public schools, could that affect other parts of the state?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question that I just heard about this week. Is lawmakers are already looking at these recommendations from Indianapolis and thinking about how they could replicate them in their own districts. One thing I heard is it's not just Indianapolis that's facing population decline and challenges providing busing, it's rural areas too. So is there an opportunity for those rural school districts to consolidate themselves or even just consolidate their services in order to move those economies of scale, is what lawmakers like to say.
Okay. All right. A few more bills to touch on quickly that impacts your children. This one always makes me chuckle every time I see it, because it swings both ways. But cursive for elementary schools, many of us just grew up, that was a part of the curriculum, and it has been taken out, and now there's talks about putting it back in. Where are the most recent talks? Yeah,
it's a perennial bill to require cursive writing in schools, and sometimes it moves forward and sometimes it doesn't, so we'll definitely be following it again this year.
Yeah, I certainly think it should be there, but I understand why they took it out. I just feel like in, 12 years, more for pre-K and kindergarten. In 12 years, can you find time to teach cursive? Like, it's not make or break. Like, let's just do it.
Yeah, the proponents of the bill say learning cursive helps your brain learn to read.
Yeah, and then how are kids signing their names? So I do have that question, but maybe that's just me being a little old school. All right, important kindergarten readiness.
Yeah, there's a bill out to essentially create some statewide benchmarks to indicate that a child is ready for kindergarten. That's not just academics, that's things like good behavior, sitting still, following directions, and other age-appropriate things to indicate that your child's ready.
Readiness. Are they ready to step into the classroom setting? We know education starts at a young age.
Yeah.
All right, and in accelerated graduate degree programs, what's this referring to?
Right, this seems to be trying to address some of the shortages that we have in mental health counseling, and it would require universities to look into how they could provide two-year graduate degrees in some of these fields like counseling, rather than having students do full 4-year programs.
Okay, some educational options, and it's something that you can choose what works best for you. Exactly. Aleks, I appreciate it. Clearly there is a lot happening at the Statehouse, as we normally know, but when it comes to our kids, we want to try to break down and make it as palatable as possible so that parents know what's going on and how involved they need to be with their children and their education.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Certainly. Okay, so we'll keep you updated, and if you want to read more about Chalkbeat, we have a link at WTHR.com/Parent Squad. Still to come, moms, we are helping you glam up for those holiday parties. Let's get to it.